you're going through some, hard, difficult times, my thing would be to just listen to what the narrative is in your head. The world will define you by whether you're successful or not, if the restaurant did well or not. But for me, I was already successful in taking that first step towards following my passion. Just having an open mind and a collaborative spirit, I think I've done quite well for myself.
Welcome to the very first episode of Portraits of Strength, a space where we celebrate resilience in its many forms and honor stories of those who travel the world with purpose and quiet strength. Our very first guest today is Lavanya, and she's someone who's not just built restaurants, but she's built bridges, opportunities, and hope. In a culture where engineering and medicine is kind of like always thought of as the only ways for success, you've actually carved your own path. Lavanya, as you all might or might not know, she is the semi-finalist for the James Beard Foundation Award for 2025 and was recently celebrated as the Utah Business Person of the Year. And it is my immense pleasure to welcome Lavanya Mahate to Portraits of Strength. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. It is my honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So let's get started with, tell me a little bit of how your childhood was in India, like what your childhood was, what your education is. How was it growing up in India?
As you can relate, I was born in Kakinada, which is in Andhra Pradesh in India. That's where I spent most of my childhood. And later I moved to Chennai, which happens to be my mother's hometown.
Okay.
So I did my high school there as well as college. And then I moved to Pune for my master's. So I lived in different parts of India. But childhood was kind of, there were sweet memories, but there were some, painful memories as well. Mm-hmm. And so it was just because, my father and my mother couldn't agree on a lot of things. And so it was a typical family. And so I found a safe space in the kitchen.
Okay.
Because of all the chaos in the house, I just escaped to the kitchen, and it was my safe space, my playground, which is where I really have some amazing memories from my childhood, which kind of, when you look back, all the dots connect, right?
Yeah.
So, and a loving family, like an extended family. My grandmother was a great inspiration. My grandfathers, both sides, they were very successful business people. And so I kind of watched them, have a lot of respect in the community, which I admired. Like this one memory of my childhood, every New Year's Eve, we would get like a room full of cakes and flowers and bouquets.
Oh, wow.
Because that's how
they showed their love.
That's how well-known my grandfather was. And so everybody, all other businesses and his associates and would send all of those gifts for New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
So every year we would look forward to that. And it was amazing. And that's where I think my love for cake came from too.
Oh, wow.
So, I saw that. And then I also saw my grandmother, who it was a very typical patriarchal family, society, if you will. And so my grandmother raised the kids and, was over the kitchen. And she was very kind, compassionate, and generous. So I gained those qualities from her, as well as the drive and the ambition from my grandfather. So...
And this was your mom's dad or dad?
My dad's dad and mom, yes.
Okay. So it was a joint family that you were living with? Is this in Chennai?
This was in Kakinada,
Okay.
growing up. And then my aunts lived close enough, and they would come over, regularly, who I love very dearly. They're just so kind and sweet. Recently, I went to San Francisco. My aunt was visiting my cousin who lives there, her son. And so we had the best time. She was so fun, as in we went to this 3D museum, 3D place, where she was posing in all different kinds, and we got some good clicks. And she just fondly talks about our childhood. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. So you said that your kitchen was a safe haven. Was that where, was your grandmother the one who used to teach you how to cook, and is that where it kind of all started? Or tell me a little bit more that kind of pulls you to the kitchen.
For sure, my grandmother, she used to make this milk pudding, palkova sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of other things, which I loved watching her make those and learned those recipes and would enjoy those dishes. But for the most part, my mentor in the kitchen was Kantama. She was our kitchen help, and so who was my first mentor and someone who will always be my hero.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
She was the one who taught me how to cook, because I don't think my mother would have approved of a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, in the kitchen. But Kantama was like, I'll teach you. So she
fun.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of a sneakiness in me learning, my way around the kitchen when my mom was taking her afternoon nap.
So you were an only child?
No, I had my oldest sister and my older brother, but they were much older. My sister is 8 years older to me, and my brother is 7 years older to me. And
so you were the baby of the family.
You can say that. Yes, yes.
So and tell me how you ended up in Utah, and how many years ago was that?
So I moved here to Utah in 2001.
Okay.
And marriage to my husband, who was working at American Express at the time, is what brought us here. And so, it was an arranged marriage. And my dad passed away when I was 16. So my mom's responsibility was to get both her daughters married. And she did that with my sister. And so then I was next in line. And so after I finished my master's, I went to Chennai from Pune, and she said, I have a proposal for you, and it'd be nice. And she convinced me, my sister, and all of them. And then, we were engaged. And after 6 months, I moved here, got married and moved here.
So you did your MBA in Pune?
Yes, I did my master's in mass communication.
Mass communication, okay. So tell me, what kind of a person were you while you were doing your master's or even your undergrad? Tell me about what you loved doing and what your life was like at that point in time.
Well, I had a close set of friends who knew me and who I knew very well. So one-on-one, I was great. In a group of friends, friends have always been a big part of my growing up and my college years too. Just great, fun memories. But in a crowd, I would be painfully shy and awkward.
I find that hard to believe.
You better believe me, yes. It took me a long time, and lots of practice to actually be comfortable and, in networking situations, and to actually start loving it, which I do now.
Okay.
Yeah, when I moved here in 2001, which we'll get to in a bit, I was on a dependent visa, so I couldn't work. So I went to the University of Utah and did a master's program there in integrated marketing communications. And then I started volunteering at the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce. And, Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce is the networking hub of the state. So which is where, small businesses, medium businesses, large business all get together on a daily basis. And here I was, fresh from India, and I had to speak at several occasions, and so it was painful. But then I'm always up for a good challenge, so always was. So I never said this was not for me. I stepped up and I did what it took, what I had to do, and so. Yeah, the community has been very warm. Utah has been very warm and welcoming, and I took the opportunities and through hard work, and just having an open mind and a collaborative spirit, I think I've done quite well for myself.
Let's
and
dive
given back as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into that a little bit. Like, as any Indian who has, come here as an immigrant, whether it's for their studies or directly for work, everybody knows that being on a dependent visa and getting that transferred into a H-1 visa, which we call as where you can actually work, or even like I did my master's here and I was on H-1, so I worked here. But coming on a dependent visa and then trying to, starting your own business is not an easy path, right? So let's delve into that and tell me, like, how did you navigate that hard path? As any immigrant would know here, right? Like, and it's easy to give up, but like, how did you navigate that is what I would say.
So I did what I could, given the limitations of my visa situation, which is I went to the school, University of Utah, and then volunteered at the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce because I felt like, I had to do something with my time and be productive and give back and learn and grow. I was always had that attitude. And so volunteering at the Women's Business Center at the Salt Lake Chamber gave me a great startup, I guess. And after 2 years of being an intern there, I went to the COO of Salt Lake Chamber and asked him if they could sponsor me. I said, yeah, sure, we'd be happy to. And then I thought I should have done this sooner.
So it was just a little, like, literally going and asking if it was possible, rather than saying,
yep.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I think like I say, I wish I had done that sooner, but better late than never. So,
sure.
But the 2 years were great as well. So, and they did sponsor my H-1 visa. So I was a marketing manager and then eventually became the director of the program. I started as an intern.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Like a simple thing, right? Like, because a lot of people, even students or who have just come in, they always hesitate to kind of like go and just speak up or even ask, because the worst thing that anybody can do is or say is no. There's no harm in asking. That's such a profound lesson right there, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. What gives you that drive? I know you mentioned like your grandfather was well known and it's kind of like the drive you get from him. But what is the why behind the drive that you have? Because let's face it, there are many immigrants who kind of like come to this country, which is, well, the land of opportunities. But many don't come out of their shell to kind of like do or pursue their dreams for, let's say, fear or other options or, whatever that's kind of like reasons that are stopping them from. But you have the drive because, as you said, you came as a dependent, but you wanted to do something which pushed you to go for a master's and kind of like volunteer. But where do you get that drive from? What's the why behind it?
I think it also goes back to my childhood. When I was in the kitchen at a very young age, preparing these sweets, I would serve that to my brother, my sister, and my cousins. And they would all appreciate me. They would, actually praise me like for being a good cook or, just being someone who is amazing, right? Like it was, and so I think I had a taste of accomplishment very young
Nice.
on, and so which feels good, right? Like I think as human beings, our identity
validation.
self, the ego self needs that validation. So I think for most of my my early years in the US, like last from 2001 up until I started my restaurants, and even 10 years into start having my restaurants, was definitely very driven by accomplishment, a sense of accomplishment, and the need to get things done. Yeah, I think that's the drive. And then there came a time when I stepped out of that way of thinking from a not that we're aware, this all happens very subconscious on a level.
Yeah.
But now that I look back, that's really what and all of the things that we all as women go through, like the people pleasing, the overgiving, the overcompensating, the nice girl, the one that does everything, the one that's quiet girl, holds the fort up, and all of those things. Definitely, I've gone through that, and I think a combination of all of that and driven by accomplishments, a sense of accomplishment and success. Success as, the society defines it, up until I realized that's not success.
Yeah, no, definitely.
True success, but...
So you became the director of Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce.
So I was the director of the Women's Business Center at the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce. It's a program within the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce that's funded by the Small Business Administration, provides support to business owners.
And how long were you at that role before you decided to take a leap into entrepreneurship?
So I worked in all about 8 years at the Women's Business Center, like I said, marketing manager. And in the director position, I was about 2 years.
Oh, wow. And so how did you get into, or how did that idea of starting your own restaurant, when did that start?
Yeah. So after having worked there for 8 years, and I wanted a little bit more, I guess I wanted a more fulfilling or challenging, career option, in the sense that I wanted to pursue entrepreneurship and my love for marketing and Indian cuisine, because I've been a good cook all along, just hosting friends and family and having these get-togethers. So I loved cooking. I enjoyed cooking. I loved serving people. So, but I didn't know it was going to be in food. It took me about 3 years to really do some deep soul searching to find out that food is what I want to do.
Gotcha.
And that's when I realized that, okay, this has always been a thread from my childhood, that my love for food, my passion for food, creating something in the kitchen, and everything lined up. So it was a lot of self-reflection at that point. And I started at the farmer's market. So it was definitely a calculated, small risk type of thing. Like, let me try, having a line of spice blends, because Indian food is not that very different from any other food except for the spices that go into it. So I created my own line of spice blends. I had the agricultural department approved commercial kitchen in my basement. And I hired one lady, and then I would go every Saturday morning in a van with all the spices and everything, and set up a farmer's market booth. And I did that for one whole season. It was really hard. But the best thing was my daughter, who was about 3.5 or 4, would accompany me. She had so much fun just hanging out with mom and talking to people, and just So that's a great fond memory I have from the farmer's market. And then the following year, I started my first restaurant in South Jordan called Saffron Valley. And that was themed around food from all over India, north, south, east, west. Because up until then, Indian food was mostly naan and curry, North Indian food. And then there were 1 or 2 South Indian restaurants, but nobody that brought everything together. So that's what I did. And it was to take out the like the intimidation of going out to eat Indian, but to make it more mainstream. So it had like colorful interiors. It was small space, and you've been there a few times, so many times.
Yep.
So that did well, and people would come there from all the way from University of Utah and ask if we were going to start something downtown. And then 2 years later, I started one in downtown in the avenues. So.
Oh, wow. And now you have 6?
And that was the second one, the Avenues one. Third one was in Sugar House, and then fourth one in Riverton, as well as at the University of Utah. So there are 5 Saffron Valley locations, and I oversee the South Jordan one and the Sugar House one right now.
That's awesome. And this is in the span of what?
10 years.
10 years?
And then I also started Biscotts
Bakery
Café. Yep. So there were 2 locations of Biscotts, and then I sold the 2 years ago. And then I started Biscotts Bakery. And then the Rice Culinary Institute. And I started a restaurant in London too. So
you did?
Yes.
Oh my God. When did that happen?
This was the week of COVID. So March 13th, we launched the London restaurant. And
it's called Saffron Valley?
It was called. I kept it open for 2 years, and then I closed it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
it was called
COVID.
Saffron Circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
COVID
put a wrench through a dent in the wrench.
I'm sure you'll go back there someday.
Maybe not, because I now know what it is to do business in the UK, which is very different from doing business in the US. And I think I like it here. It was an expensive lesson, but a good one. So I might, but I just think US is so much more pro-entrepreneurial and Utah especially. So, yeah.
Okay. So tell me, you've talked about your grandmother, your grandfather, and they being you've got their drive or the love for food from them. But is there a person, whether it's fictional or person who's been alive, who is your inspiration, and why?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so there are 3 things that I always looked up to when it came to entrepreneurship. The 3 I's I call. So it's imagination, inspiration, and intuition.
Okay.
So imagination is the vision, the big picture thinking, and looking, ahead. And inspiration, obviously, mentors and people who inspire you, who've done that before, whatever you're aspiring to do. And lastly, intuition, your own self, kind of reaching out inwards for those times when you really need to make decisions. So inspiration has always been, I'm inspired by everybody, like everybody I come in contact with. I think we can learn from everybody. We really, if we have the curiosity too. But my top 3 mentors, inspirational people, one of them I don't know, I've not met in person, is Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
I just love her because, again, those initial years when I was working at the chamber, where I had my evenings free, which is rare. I would come home and then I would watch Oprah's show every day. Loved her storytelling and how she built a $1 billion empire around her strengths of storytelling. And so, and just genuine and spiritual, and she owns her power. So she's always been an inspiration. Second is Natalie Gochner, who is many different things, but she's an amazing lady, and she was my boss at the Salt Lake Chamber at the time. She was the person who gave me the opportunity to be a director of the center, and someone who I deeply, deeply admire. She is one of the pioneers in Utah where the policy and economy go. So, and thirdly, it's Dr. Dinesh Patel, who is a venture capitalist and has been a mentor of mine for many years. And I think the thing that all 3 of them have in common is a good balance of soft skills and hard skills. They're good at what they do, but they're really humble and always helping others. So,
okay. And how do you see, or what's the vision for your life that you are striving to achieve every day?
Just to make today the best day. Yeah. I mean, I used to be like thinking 10 years into the future and wanting to do this. But now I am at a place where I feel whole, complete, and enough just with what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm grateful for today. I'm happy for today. I want to make the most of today. After this, I'm going to the restaurant and, doing some, meeting some people. And so I really very much in the moment.
Okay.
Knowing that, everything will unfold at its own pace and it's all happening for me, as the way of my soul's evolution on this earth.
How did that change come about? Because from a person who has like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, like how you said, like you were thinking about 10 years down the line, but now you're living every day at a time. How did that change come about?
Yeah. So I call it as shifting from my ego-centric self to my soul-centric self, which we all have, a soul-centered self as well as an ego-centric self. The ego is where is our identity self trying to keep us safe and small and not take any risks and always, playing devil's advocate.
Right.
And then soul is very expansive. It's like abundant and it comes from a place of love. And I did make that shift when the previous version was no longer sustainable. Running 10 restaurants and going at 100 miles per hour and not feeling supported. And then
kids to take care of.
And then it was ended up in an ankle fracture. I think that was the turning point of me stepping into my soul-centered self, which is like I was so successful on paper with all of these awards for all of these restaurants, yet I felt like a stranger in my own house. And so I had to really take a hard look at my life and make some changes and to know that, and I had to come into my own self and peel the layers, the conditioning of all the years from childhood up until, recently to come home to my true self. And that journey has been wonderful. And it's given me immense inner strength. No matter what happens, I can always rewrite the story. So
right. Yeah, that's actually hard. A lesson, right? Like not because essentially think about any women, whether it's Indian women or otherwise, we juggle so many things, home, kids, and if you're you have a full-time job, whether it's business or otherwise, we take on so many roles, but at the same time, we take on way too much. And so how do you find that balance? Like, do you think work-life balance even exists? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, women, we always take care of everybody else around us before we take care of ourselves. We've always been told that self-care is selfish.
Yeah.
And all of these myths we've been fed all along, which I think you come to a place of, finding what it is that you truly want and finding what your values are. I think I don't think it's an Indian thing or a cultural thing. It's a universal thing.
Yeah.
Most women go through this where they come to a point where it's no longer sustainable. All of the things, the people pleasing, the overgiving, the overcompensating, taking care of everybody else before we do ourselves, comes to a point where it's because we're living according to a set of principles that the world gives us, which is different from what we want, and hence the inner conflict.
Right.
And some people take that opportunity to step into their authentic self, and it happens over, time. But that's how I have been. So work-life balance. No, I mean, I think we create our lives. I think there's two types of people. One who are like in a victim mode, like this has happened to me and I have it hard, and the life is happening to me, and then there's another set of people who are like, life is happening for me. But then there's a third kind who are like, I'll create my own life. I have the capacity to live the life I want. And I think it's a progression too. And I've been in the stage 1, stage 2, and I think I'm stepping into stage 3 and excited to see what else is ahead.
That's an amazing way to look at it. But I guess going back to that question of work-life balance, is that something that you think you created, or it's that how do you go about creating that?
I love my work. So I if anything, I want more of that. More of that, because I love it. I truly love it. I mean, I always loved it, but back when I was in my ego-centric self, it was stressful and it was an uphill task. Everything was, twice as hard as it needed to be. And I thought that's because you don't know what you don't know. And I thought, hard work is success, which is not. And now I know better. And I think now I work just as much, maybe more, but I have honed in qualities of my heart, like trusting myself and others around me and the universe, and surrendering, letting go of control, the need to control every single thing. And when you're in that state, things flow to you. The right things come along your way. The right people come along your way to help you progress in your work. So I don't believe in work-life balance. I think I believe that everybody should do what they love to do for work, because otherwise it's stifling.
True. So what were the tools that helped you get from a 10-year plan to living your life in the moment? The turning point was your ankle fracture, which made you go deep within yourself. But what were the tools that actually helped you get from there to here?
A lot. I've tried everything, all modalities, before I found that they were right within me, whatever I needed.
Okay.
But it takes a minute to get there. And I've always been curious. I think the first time I really stepped out of that survival mode from just being reactive and agitated and everything would irk me. And I'm like, from being in that place of things are happening to me to stepping into things that are happening for me is me listening to my own thoughts. That was the first thing I remember. That I didn't know before that we could actually listen to our thoughts. And I know that a lot of people do not know yet. And so if you're going through some, hard, difficult times, my thing would be to just listen to what the narrative is in your head. And then then you understand, then you start, unraveling the whole, mystery around why we do what we do and why we feel the way we feel. And to understand that everything starts with a thought, and then it becomes a feeling, and then it becomes words and our actions, and that's how we get our consequences. So thought, the thinking, the mindset is super important for whether you want to go left or go right, That's what sets your path. So I understood my mindset, and I started making best friends with my brain and how I spoke to myself. And that was a big step. But I also dabbled a lot with, whether it's I took a sound bowl class, or they're all great. They're just so good for, stress relief, which I think stress is the number one cause for all calamities, right? And all disease when you're not at ease, whether it's body, mind, or, emotionally or physically. But I've tried all of that. And then I found a spiritual mentor. The mentor found me, which is what we say in Hinduism, where the guru finds you.
Yeah, when you're ready, that's
100%.
They'll find you.
I have goosebumps as I'm saying that. But I was very seeking. I was a seeker. I wanted a different way to live. I was like, this can't be it, It can't be so stressful and then I found my mentor in London. He's an investment banker, but he meditates for 6 hours every day, morning and evening. So he has an ashram in Rishikesh, and he's a doctor. He's a neuro doctor who is become an investment banker. But yeah, so he is from the yogic tradition, and he is someone who, just in his presence, I got a lot of enlightenment, if you will, like a lot of principles that I live by.
Moments.
I think some things you cannot explain, and I'm okay with that. Like whether you call it the universe, source, higher power, God. I believe in all of those things. And but some people are like, you don't know that exists. I'm like, but you don't know that they don't, exist as well. So I would rather believe they do.
They do.
Yeah. And and after I met him and I came back to Utah, I woke up and I didn't eat meat for forever. Like it was a wire, I'm not that. I think, yeah, he's a devout, yogi. He does not eat meat. He's a pure vegetarian, and he meditates. I don't know. He never mentioned that, but it just happened that I gave up meat, and I've been a better person for that, because I think I haven't looked into, the science behind whether eating meat is good or bad for you, but I definitely feel like it keeps your channels clear, whether it's your chakras or your gut health, and it's just easier on your body to eat vegetarian food. And so I think I've been healthier for that.
Okay.
Body, mind, and spirit.
So are there key things that you do every day that help you feel grounded and centered? What are those? Can you share?
Yeah, I've always wanted a morning routine before I met my spiritual mentor. And after I came back from London, one of the things that happened was I got into a morning routine, which is, and I created my own way of doing that, because I'm somebody who is spiritual and strategic. So if you look at my altar, I have, Lord Ram's picture, but I also have a Wonder Woman there. So
I love that.
Yeah. I'm like, it is what you want out of it. Like,
you
what you
works
believe.
for you,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. So I have visualization. I have vision boards, definitely. And everything that, means something to me and is a priority. Every year I update my vision boards. And so those are there. And then I do some breath work to start with, and then I meditate, and then I visualize. And then, I think it's about a 40-minute practice that I do every morning, which just aligns my body, mind, and spirit for the day. And it's a practice, so every day.
That's awesome. What is your definition of strength? Because, different people believe, some believe that strength is physical. Some can believe that it's mental. I believe that resilience and grit are the strength. So what is your definition of strength?
Ooh. Yeah, you're right. It's different for different people.
Yep.
Somebody who's very strong might take pride in being strong physically, and someone like me takes pride in being mentally and emotionally strong. I think emotional resilience is real strength, like how we self-regulate and how we regulate our emotions have a huge role in our future, in how we live our lives. I think emotional regulation would be real strength.
Okay.
If you get your emotions right, I think you're good.
And your source of that strength for you is what?
Is the work that I do, the practice that I do, and the self-reflection and knowing my own self and why I do what I do and understanding people around me and knowing that we've been given a script all our lives and then we don't have to follow that. But it's about inner strength and that gives me the emotional resilience.
So let's say you are in like something has caused you some trigger in your emotional. What are like? How do you ground yourself immediately so that you don't spiral out of it?
Yeah, breath is a great tool, like a real practical tool to do some deep breathing. Calms you down, calms your nervous system down. I guess that's the goal, to have a well-regulated nervous system will help you not trigger, not react. And what do you do in the moment is use breath to do that. But also not to react, and to take the time to think through what is it that caused that trigger? What is it within me that is still unhealed? And how can I work on that?
That's a lot of like that's an amazing self-awareness that I've seen, right? Like as you said, not everybody knows to listen to their thoughts and be that self-aware. So I'm just wowed away by how much of self-awareness you have.
Yeah, thank you.
It's amazing. So it's been 10 years since you started Saffron Valley. With 15 actually, sorry. So 15 years. And 2 years ago, you started Rice Culinary Institute, which is a kind of like a training program for refugees. So what made you start Rice Culinary Institute?
As I was running my restaurants, there was a real need for trained people, skilled people to work at the restaurants, whether it's in the kitchen or the front of the house. And I always wanted to train local people because Indian food, we don't find Indian chefs or cooks here. It's hard. So to train local people was an idea. But then the Utah Refugee Center also has some vocational training that they do with refugees. And so the director, Asha Parekh, wanted to do a kitchen. And so she asked me if I would be an operational partner of the kitchen. And I agreed. And so we collaborated on that. We worked for like 2-3 years. That didn't materialize at the Utah Refugee Center, so I set it up at Sugar House, Saffron Valley location. We built a kitchen, and took me about 4 years in all to make that happen.
Wow.
And through COVID too. So the construction came to a halt, and construction costs were up by like 25-30%. But I just kept going and believing in in the vision and in the dream of creating a space where we could train local people, especially women who might not otherwise go out and seek opportunities. So I guess it's almost like that's been my journey, and I've had great opportunities. So it's a way for me to give back. It was an easy circle for me to follow and pursue.
It was like the logical next step.
But it wasn't easy. It was quite challenging. But I think when you stick through with your vision, you'd be surprised at how much better it becomes, at the end of it. So now we trained 20 women last year, another 30 this year.
Wow.
3 months of hands-on culinary training free. And they're just so grateful, happy for that opportunity. Not only helping them build culinary skills, but also self-reliance and, ignite the spark within them to help them take the next step towards their tapping into their own potential.
That's awesome. That's amazing. What are your dreams or visions for the future? Whether it's for Rise or for Saffron Valley. I know you're starting or you're working on the launch of the next restaurant.
Yeah, that's exciting. I try not to attach myself too much to success or failure after all that I've gone through. Honestly, you're asking me my vision for the future. I will continue to build. I will continue to use my faculties, my potential, tapping into my own potential while helping others do that, especially women. So I have also, because of my entrepreneurial journey and my personal journey, when I talk to people, especially women, we get very deep. We really have like heartfelt, deep conversations. There's no room for fluff and, so it feels real. And that's what I think people want. And I want for myself and others too. And build a community of self-aware women who are doing amazing things in their own fields.
Right.
But that's my vision, really to continue that path as well as the restaurants. And
So you've mentioned that, as society, there's a prescribed checklist or a definition that we are socially conditioned to be like, say that, okay, hey, this is success. Being married, 2 kids, having a job, or having one business, being financially stable, or things like that. But you've proven, or you've broken barriers on that particular, definition. So, what do you define as success, or what do you consider as success?
Yeah. So, success, as a society defines, is through the external markers of success, like you said, all the check boxes. But for me, true success is when the external success is equals the inner fulfillment, and any day, it's inner fulfillment of knowing that this aligns with my values. This aligns with what I want to express in this world. And that is true success. In fact, when I started my first Saffron Valley restaurant, not knowing whether it was going to be a success or not, I already felt successful. And that's another thing from my childhood, that I always felt successful. So I think it's so important to inculcate that young, in our children, to whatever it is, to make them feel like they're enough and they're successful. I always felt successful. So I carried that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's inner fulfillment. You give higher weightage to that rather than the external ones.
Yeah, and why I say that about the Saffron Valley launch was because the world will define you by whether you're successful or not, if the restaurant did well or not. But for me, I was already successful in taking that first step towards following my passion. And so I've always, kind of inclined towards the inner fulfillment, which I totally, feel and embrace now. So that is real success. And having, great relationships, whether it's family or friends, or starts with your own self, a relationship with yourself. I think that's success too. It's sweet success. You want to share that with people along the journey.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so this is the last part of our podcast here. It's kind of like a rapid fire question. What's your favorite book?
Ooh, favorite book. I read a lot of biographies, like entrepreneurial ones. Howard Schultz of Starbucks is what I'm reading. So I like knowing real stories, people.
Then there's a great podcast that I'll steer you towards after we're done, which you should listen. It's really good. Okay. What's your favorite song?
Ooh, song. This is really rapid fire. It's a complete 360-degree shift for me. Okay, I should get this song. Wow. Okay. Well, I like A.R. Rahman songs.
Okay. Is there one that comes to your mind as soon as you think of Rahman?
The Roja song.
The Roja songs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the title one.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. What's your favorite quote?
Quote. What you focus on grows.
Okay.
Yeah, that was easy.
Favorite movie?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
The first one?
Yeah. I like that.
Do you like Johnny Depp or Orlando Bloom?
Johnny
Depp.
For sure, yes. Yeah.
What's your greatest fear?
Greatest fear? Is that I will lose my self-awareness.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What's the most courageous thing you've done? I think I might know the answer, but...
Oh, yeah. Many. I think I have done, I think, a few different courageous moves. Like even the fact that you move, from across the world and make this your home is quite courageous. To everybody who's listening who's done that.
Yeah.
Hats off. That's hard. But I jumped off an airplane, like in the skydiving.
The skydiving?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah. I did that too.
Yeah.
Did you do it here in the
Moab.
Kuala?
Moab.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This was, I think, my 40th birthday. So
Nice. Nice. And you've talked about things that direct you in your life, but is there one single line or a single philosophy that you live by your life? Like, what's your philosophy of life?
build your foundation of self before you build success. Like, build a foundation of self and build success over it, which is more sustainable.
Okay.
It's not a quote, but I think that's kind of what my whole life has taught me. Start with the foundation of self, because I think the society teaches us the other way, where we build success and then we look for ourselves. Why not we do it the other way?
The other way around. But do you think it's sustainable, or is it possible? Like when you're in your 20s, all you want to do is have fun, make money, enjoy with friends.
Yeah.
That self-awareness during that age is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Right? So do you think it's something that's possible, building?
I think it is. I think it is. You can have fun and you can do all those things and still be self-aware. I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, brings us to the end of the podcast.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
So fun. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Like this, having these conversations and getting to know the other person from their life story, like from where they've started and where they are and how they got to where they are today, is kind of like one of my favorite things to do. And thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast and being the first one on my
Such an honor, such a pleasure. And you're amazing at what you do. So
thank you. All
the best. And I can't wait to see all your other episodes and just be a big fan and cheer you on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the first episode of Portraits of Strength. Lavanya's story is a beautiful reminder that strength isn't always loud. It often shows up in the quiet courage to keep building, keep believing, and keep giving back. If you've enjoyed this episode and learned from it, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration today. And don't forget to follow the podcast for more powerful conversations. Until next time, stay strong in whatever way strength lives in you. Thank you.